He didn't apologize because he meant it. He apologized because you were pulling away, because your silence scared him more than your anger, because for the first time, you weren't begging for clarity. You were building distance, and he felt it, that shift, that change, that moment when your heart stopped reaching. So he did what narcissists do best. He adapted. He studied your patterns. He knew what to say, he knew how to look, and he used every word not to heal you, but to reset the cycle. Because the narcissist's apology is not an act of growth. It's a strategy. It's damage control. It's manipulation dressed up as vulnerability. He doesn't apologize to change. He apologizes to survive, to stay in control, to make sure you don't finally leave for good. You've heard it before. I'm sorry I hurt you. I was just scared. I didn't mean it like that. I love you. I just need time. But none of it came with action. None of it came with accountability. None of it came with real change. That's the trap. The illusion that a few words can undo years of emotional warfare. The belief that this time, he finally sees you. But he doesn't. He sees the consequences. He sees your distance. He sees your strength starting to return. And that terrifies him. So he'll cry. He'll collapse. He'll tell you everything you ever wanted to hear. And for a moment, you'll feel seen. You'll feel like maybe, just maybe, the man you loved is finally real. But then it happens. The same patterns return. The same blame. The same defensiveness. The same coldness right after the softness. Because the apology wasn't for you. It was for him. To buy more time. To reel you back in. To remind you of the good moments. To distract you from the truth. And the truth is this. If the apology isn't followed by consistent change, it's not healing. It's a hook. You've been here before. You've forgiven. You've explained. You've given more chances than you can count. And he knows that. That's why he keeps coming back. Because your heart is good. Because your love is real. Because your soul still hopes for something honest. But hope without boundaries becomes captivity. And love without respect becomes pain. He didn't apologize because he grew. He apologized because he saw you grow. Without him. He felt the power shifting. He realized you were no longer explaining your tears. No longer softening your voice. No longer clinging to the version of him that never truly existed. And so, he did what he always does. He mirrored what he thought you needed to see. He performed, not because he was sorry, but because he needed to keep you from walking away. Because if you walk away, he loses access. Access to your love, to your energy, to your attention, to the validation he could never give himself. You were never a partner to him. You were a supply, a mirror, a source of praise. And when you stopped providing that, he panicked. So he crafted the perfect apology. The words were right. The timing was precise, but the intention, still hollow. You wanted it to be real. You wanted this to be the moment he finally understood the damage he caused. You wanted closure, healing, change. But what you got was another cycle. The same charm, the same softness, followed by the same coldness. Because narcissists don't change through apologies. They change when they lose access. And even then it's rare. Because for them, the goal is never healing. The goal is control. And what hurts the most isn't just what he did. It's the fact that he knew it hurt you, and he did it anyway. It's the fact that he watched you cry and stayed distant, watched you plead and stayed cold, and now that you've pulled back, now that you've gone quiet, he suddenly remembers how to be kind. That's not love. That's manipulation. That's keeping you close with just enough hope to keep you from leaving. That's pretending to change just enough to make you question everything again. You've been through this before. The breakdown, the begging, the promise, the cycle, the crash. But this time, you're different. This time, you've seen behind the apology. This time, you're not settling for words without action. This time, you understand that real love doesn't require repeated recovery. And here's what matters most. You don't need his apology to move on. You don't need his permission to heal. You don't need his words to close the door. You can walk away with nothing but your own truth. And that will be the loudest thing you've ever said. You were never asking for too much. You were asking the wrong person. Someone who saw your compassion as currency. Someone who interpreted forgiveness as permission. Someone who used your empathy as a leash. And now every apology he gives sounds like a tactic. Because it is. It's not an act of courage. It's an act of survival. He doesn't want to be better. He wants to be believed. He wants you to trust his performance, to forget the patterns, to silence the intuition. Because when you start thinking clearly, you start leaving. That's what narcissists fear most. Not confrontation, not criticism, but distance, detachment, indifference. Because your silence means he no longer has access to your emotions, to your heart, to the parts of you he could always twist to his advantage. And now you're reclaiming that. You're recognizing the apology for what it is. Another cycle starter. Another attempt to pull you back just when you were finding peace. Another reset button that leads to the same chaos. But this time, you've seen too much. You've hurt too long. You've broken in too many places. You no longer believe in potential. You believe in patterns. And his patterns never change. You stopped waiting for the moment he'd realize your worth. Because now you've realized it for yourself. And once that happens, there's no going back. Now his words sound like noise. Now his charm feels scripted. Now his tears don't move you. Because you finally understand. Someone who truly sees your value doesn't destroy you and then apologize when you pull away. Someone who loves you doesn't use pain as a motivator. Someone who's growing doesn't repeat the same destruction and call it just a mistake. Growth comes with awareness, with humility, with action. And he's shown none of that. He's shown panic. He's shown manipulation. He's shown desperation to maintain control. But he hasn't shown change. And now, that's the only thing that matters. You're done being tricked by timing, by tears, by empty words dressed as healing. You're not looking for a savior anymore. You're saving yourself. You were the one who tried. You were the one who gave grace when it wasn't earned. You were the one who believed in change that never came. And you weren't wrong for that. You weren't naive. You were hopeful. You were human. You believed love meant patience, meant effort, meant second chances. But now, you know that real love doesn't require you to destroy yourself in the process. You know that if an apology leads to another betrayal, it wasn't a turning point. It was a trap. And you're done falling for that. Because you finally realized something he never wanted you to understand. An apology with no change is just manipulation. An apology with the same outcome is a tactic. An apology used to delay your exit is a weapon. You wanted truth. You got control. You wanted healing. You got confusion. You wanted connection. You got power games. And that's not love. That's survival. That's emotional debt. That's a relationship built on control, not care. You don't have to prove you were hurt. You don't have to explain why his words no longer hold weight. You don't have to list all the things he did to justify your exit. Your peace is your reason. Your clarity is your closure. Your boundaries are your rebirth. He may never admit it. He may never truly understand what he did. He may keep rewriting the story to protect himself. Let him. Because you're not in that chapter anymore. You're not waiting for accountability. You're not holding your breath for someone who's mastered the art of pretending. The power isn't in his apology. It's in your decision to no longer need it. It's in your ability to say, I've heard this all before, and I know how it ends, and this time I choose to walk away before it begins again. That's not weakness. That's evolution. That's the kind of strength he hoped you'd never find. But you did. And now you don't just survive the cycle, you end it. He didn't expect you to see it. He didn't expect you to name it. He didn't expect you to survive it, let alone outgrow it. He thought the apology would work again. He thought your heart would override your logic, that your compassion would overpower your boundaries, that your loyalty would betray your healing. But this time, it didn't. This time, you saw the cycle before it spun. This time, you recognized the pattern before it pulled you in. This time, you didn't hear words. You watched behavior. And behavior told the truth. The truth he never wanted you to understand, that he's only sorry when you're leaving, only soft when you're done, only vulnerable when it serves him. That's not remorse. That's fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of losing access. Fear of watching you become what he never had the strength to be, free. Because when you walk away for real, you take everything he fed off. Your validation, your empathy, your attention, your energy, your light. And he knows, once you stop giving that, he has nothing left to take. That's why the apology shows up now. Not because he's ready to change, but because you already did. You stopped begging, stopped proving, stopped pouring into a connection that only drained you. You stopped needing him to get it. You got it yourself. You understood that closure is a choice, that healing isn't found in his regret. It's found in your freedom. You learned to let go, not because it didn't matter, but because it cost you too much. Your peace, your joy, your voice. And now you take all that back. You walk away quietly, strongly, without explanation, without resentment, without the need to be understood, because the apology doesn't hold power anymore. You do. You always did. You don't need one more apology. You need peace. You need clarity. You need to stop falling for what sounds right and start rising for what feels true. Comment, I'm done falling for words. If this message met you where you are, subscribe if you're reclaiming your voice, your power, and your worth. Turn on notifications, because this is your healing space now. This is the motivational call. And you just chose yourself.